Hi Soul Family, this is Mimi with Divination by Mimi, and welcome to your new moon in Leo for July 23rd, 2017. I'm going to be going over some of the astrological aspects. There's a lot going on, to be honest with you, and next month in August there's even more going on. It's eclipse season. Lots of things are happening next month that will affect us greatly. But for now, here are the aspects. The full moon, excuse me, the new moon enters Leo at 4:34 a.m. The moon enters it and becomes new, completely in its new stage by 5:46 a.m. So that's Sunday, the 23rd of July. While this is happening, there are some additional aspects occurring. Chiron, the wounded healer, is still in retrograde in the sign of Pisces. There's several planets in retrograde, so you'll be revisiting things. And there's a negative aspect on that day with the moon and Uranus, but we'll get into that. So Chiron in retrograde has you looking over things in your past, perhaps childhood, things that were hurtful, old wounds that you might need to look at again. And the energy around this might be agitated. Get into that a little bit more. Saturn is also retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter is one of the few heavy hitter planets that's direct, still in Libra. So that's relationships. Even the North Node, which is currently in the sign of Leo, is in a retrograde status. Revisiting our goals, our lifelong, lifetime goals, where we as humanity, we as not even just humanity, but as sentient life forms are ascending, what our goal is, what the next evolution is for our souls. We also still have Pluto retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So this has a lot to do with visiting very, very early formative years. I don't know if you remember the last couple of weeks, about a fortnight ago, there was a full moon, and it was in Cancer? Is that right? Hold on. Full moon. When was it? Was it the 9th? No, it was a full moon in Capricorn. And Pluto was in retrograde at that time, and there was a cardinal cross. So a lot of that energy is dissipating. That was a rough time, very difficult time. But Pluto is still in retrograde, so you are still taking this time to revisit very early things, possibly generational things, things that, have been set in stone in the way that you do things, in the way that you process feelings and thoughts. You might be looking at that a second time. Neptune is also in retrograde. Neptune in retrograde has you, it's actually really good for people that are empaths and clairvoyants and things like this. This allows you to become very much, especially in Pisces, very, very much in touch with the collective unconscious. It's like a portal's opened and you're getting all sorts of messages and information. So pay attention to your dreams. Always pay attention to your dreams, but particularly now. Now, some of the aspects that will occur directly on that day, the moon and the sun, obviously it's a new moon, they're conjunct. The moon and Mars is also conjunct. So that's a fast-moving, highly energetic planet. And it's in very close conjunct proximity of the moon, which has a lot to do with our feelings, underlying motivations, subconscious thoughts. That also said, there is a square happening between the moon and Uranus. So squares are not the best aspects. It's a 90-degree connection, the moon and Uranus. And Uranus is a very unpredictable energy. Uranus is in the constellation of Aries at the moment. So again, that is Aries, the war god, fast-moving, fiery energy, kind of impulsive. And then when you've got Uranus in there as well, it's unpredictable, right? And then it's making the square with the moon. And remember, the moon is all about unconscious motivations, feelings, emotions. The way you react to things might be a little bit more knee-jerk, a little bit more, you might be apt to, or naturally called to react fast, quickly and violently. Try not to do that. Try not to jump the gun. Try not to um, assume things too quickly. Remember that things are kind of tumultuous emotion-wise. Okay. I think that's it for aspects. So what we're going to do is a 3-card pull. This is just the Universal, I think, Rider-Waite-Smith, or yeah, the Radiant or the Universal. I'm not sure which it is. It's the recoloration of the original Rider-Waite-Smith, just more volume and color. And I'm going to do a 3-card supernal triangle pull, and then we'll use cartouche archetype cards. We've got 2 types of runes to clarify if we need to. We'll see what we get. So this is the supernal triangle. This would be what Keter, Hokmah, and Binah, or Asun, Amon-Oser, Tahuti, and Sekert. These are the top 3 portions of the Kemetic or the Kabbalistic tree of life. And in this case, when you just break it down to psychology, we're looking at the superconscious, the conscious mind, and then the unconscious or subconscious mind. Okay, so that's going to relate to Keter, Hokmah, Binah, or Amon-Oser, Tahuti, and Sekert. All right. Let's see what's coming up for this new moon in Leo, July 23rd, 2017. Getting prepared for the August eclipses. Woo-wee, big ones coming. They're going to affect all of us. Don't be surprised if you see lots of political activity, lots of uprisings on the world stage, lots of big changes are happening. For us, particularly in the West, particularly the United States and Great Britain, or the United Kingdom. All right. So, what does superconscious want us to know? God source. Creative energies. What's it? Okay, we've got partnership, love, or we're reconciling 2 sides of ourselves, 2 opposites. So it could be that we collectively, and this is us as a whole, or could call to individuals, but I'm sending this to all people in other life forms that might be listening and understanding. The 2 of Cups is, many people call it the love card, but I often see it more so than the love card, a coupling card, is I see it as being sort of coming to terms with the both halves of yourself, the light and the shadow aspect, the feminine and the masculine, the positive and the negative, the assertive and the passive. Those 2 parts of ourselves, those 2 halves of ourselves, because everything's dual, right? And it looks as though superconscious, God's source, the highest high, our highest selves, right, is telling us that it's important that we reconcile 2 sides of ourselves, whatever that may be. So quite honestly, I think with all of these changes occurring and the way we're evolving, all of us are evolving so rapidly, technologically, spiritually, intellectually, we're changing. Things are changing so fast. I think that Spirit is calling us to reconcile the 2 halves of ourselves that don't always meet and like each other. Maybe Jung would refer to this as the shadow self. The parts of ourselves that maybe we don't like so much. The fact that I really like to pick my nose. It's a natural instinct. Love to do it. It's very satisfying. Do I tell everyone? Well, I just did. But do you see what I'm saying? It's these parts of ourselves that we don't necessarily like, but we need to reconcile them. We need to incorporate them and integrate them into our lives. Not hate them, not hide them, because what you hide kind of never goes away for sure. What you avoid definitely gets bigger because it's given more power. But if you take it and you look at both sides and assimilate both sides, then it has no power one over the other. On a lighter note, it could be more to do with perhaps you need to look at, or we need to look at, both sides of ourselves. Perhaps, and over the last few thousand years, we've been a little bit too, as a people, as a consciousness, we've been a little bit too assertive and aggressive and conquering. Perhaps it's asking us here, because this is a masculine and a feminine depiction here, sharing cups, right? Cups being the receptacle of the soul, water being very much about the subconscious and the soul, spirituality. Maybe it's about us balancing and bringing in the feminine a little bit more. That's what I would think. And I don't mean feminine as in, you know, it has to be women. It's about that yin energy. It's about that feminine receptive energy that everyone has, male or female. I don't care who you are, you've got it. Okay? Butchest of the butch, you've got a feminine aspect, you've got an animal. So let's see what conscious mind, what's on our mind. What are we thinking about? Well, what came out? We're not moving on from something. 6 of Swords in the upright usually means that we're taking thoughts, emotions, feelings, experiences, and we're moving on to calmer waters. See, she's in a boat, and she's moving from rough waters here to calmer waters here. Someone's guiding her. But we're not doing that. Apparently, we are holding on to some kind of old pattern. And because it's swords, I tend to think we're holding on to old limiting beliefs that definitely have not served us. So I think that this is calling us to, consciously, we need to reconsider the 7 Hermetic principles. Those principles, Tahuti principles, you know, whoever had it first. The 7 principles of how all things in the universe work, the mechanics of the universe. Everything vibrates, nothing is still. Everything has duality, everything's polar. All of those 7, and I'm going to do I think I'm going to do a video on that, or maybe a radio SoundCloud podcast on it. But I think it's time that we as a humanity reconnect ourselves, refamiliarize ourselves with those 7 Hermetic principles and get out of this very limited master and slave mentality, which the last 2,000 plus years have we've been indoctrinated into that thinking. And it's a new time now. This is a new era that it's quite exciting if we can think about things, really reconsider how things really are. Why have we been taught what we've been taught on a large scale? And is it correct? So I would encourage you, if you're listening to this, if you haven't familiarized with the 7 Hermetic principles, I think that's a great place to start with just the basic mechanics of how the universe works without getting into any dogma, okay? Any politicized, commerce-driven, motivated ideology that might hinder some and help others, if you follow my meaning. Okay, so conscious mind, let's open our minds and get rid of some old limiting beliefs. Now let's go to the subconscious, especially with a new moon. Moon is in shadow, it's not reflecting light, conjunct with the sun in the sign of Leo. There we go. So the subconscious mind gave us 3 of Cups. It's all cups and swords here. So 3 of Cups generally is about celebrations, having fun. I think we need to reconsider how we're celebrating. So as we are making these big strides, these huge, as we're evolving and moving forward as a collective, we might need to take a look at where we overindulge in things. So for example, it could be anything from drugs, and I'm not a prude, drugs are great, but it's not the time for them now. That's not the way to expand the mind now. Not at this time. Not with all of these things that are happening. Not if we're to move forward. And I'm not talking about the experimental thing. I'm talking about the things that we do to avoid reality. And although reality seems to appear to be on our little screens every day, on an icon or an app or a this or a that, in fact, our reality is very much here, now, flesh and blood. It's here, it's now, and it's our spirit as well, and they're connected. So I think we're being called to get back, to get away from things that are drugs, whether that's work, social media. It could be just hiding away. If you are being a hermit, if you're hiding away from the rest of the world to keep yourself safe. Those things that we do whether it's drugs, overindulgence in drugs, overindulgence in drink, overindulgence in food, overindulgence in sex, overindulgence in work, in romance, in relationships, in neediness. Anything that we're doing where we're avoiding our own growth, and we know it. There's always a pull when we go back to that thing that just numbs us, all right? I think we're being called on a subconscious level. The lady is telling us, no more of that. Let's get back into our bodies in a conscious way. Look around. It can be a beautiful thing. It's new and it's different to be aware, to be awake, but it's the time to do that. And it's beautiful once you get there. You see so much more. It gets you angry because you become aware of things that perhaps someone pulled over the wool over your eyes in the past. But with anger comes empowerment, and it's only one step in the process. Yeah, so I think it's time to stop numbing ourselves, quite honestly. Let's get back into our minds, get back into our bodies, get back into the flesh and blood of the real world. Stop taking the bait on these political things that come into your Facebook feeds. You know what I mean? Don't take the bait on that kind of thing. It's all smoke and mirrors. All that stuff is really just to keep us busy and keep us away from our true calling, which is rethinking the parameters of life, rethinking the mechanics of the universe, reconnecting with our true joy, our true self, our body, mind, and spirit, and integrating all parts of ourselves so that there's nothing hiding, and that leaves us completely light and free and powerful. If there's nothing hidden, there's no extra baggage to carry. I hope this is making sense. This is the time. You're going to find next month with the eclipses happening, it's off the chain. So let's if you're listening, think about having a look at the 7 Hermetic Principles. If you don't like to read it, you can probably have it read to you on Audible or probably even YouTube, I would think. Or I'm sure there's podcasts that do it. Think about looking at that. Rethink the parameters of the universe. Rethink the mechanics of the universe. It's not what we've been taught. And don't numb. Don't avoid. Reintegrate everything. I think we're prepared to do that. We're prepared to look at all those things we don't like about ourselves. To reintegrate the body, mind, and soul together without numbing anything. Be here now. Be present. I don't think we need any further clarification. I will pull, I'm not going to do a cartouche, but I'm going to pull an archetype card. Just because we're talking about shadow integration here, and we're talking about moving on and not numbing ourselves. This is the archetype deck, and it's loosely, I emphasize loosely, based on Jungian archetypes. I'm just going to pull a card from here and see what we've got. This will be something that we watch for collectively in our behavior. So individually, it always starts with man and the woman in the mirror, right? Man, woman, whatever in the mirror, whoever you are, however you identify. All right. What archetype can we identify, whether it's its shadow or its light aspect? What can we learn from today as we go into this new moon in the sign of Leo with so many planets in retrograde, revisiting, and some difficult aspects where there might be a tendency to react with emotions kind of recklessly. Try to keep your cool. Get into your body a little bit. Dance, exercise, do some yoga. All right, so we got the Queen, but we got it in reverse, which means we need to pay attention to the shadow aspect. The shadow aspect of the Queen is the Queen becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling and demanding. And I just got a kind of an instant thought that might be the knee-jerk reaction if someone challenges our beliefs. So going back here to our conscious mind, where we're kind of limiting our thinking. We're not moving forward as the world is moving forward. We're hesitant to take on new ideals, new religious paths, things that are very different than what we're used to. I was talking about the 7 Hermetic principles, the mechanics of the universe. Sometimes when those ideas are challenged, it's as if they're saying, we're not smart, we don't get it. They're better than us. If somebody brings this to us. And that's not what they're doing. They're actually just trying to point something out to you that you have a divine right to know. So this shadow aspect of the queen, whether it's feminine or masculine, whether you're a man or a female, or you identify in between, or you don't identify with either gender, there's still a tendency, and it's ego-based, that's not gender-based, to become arrogant when your authority is challenged in any way. And I really believe it has to do with over something that we've been taught for years and we're having difficulty letting go of. I think that that's old beliefs. All right. So I hope this helped someone. I hope it made sense to someone. Good luck with the energies. Ride the energies. I know I'm going to try to just keep a low profile on Sunday and try to keep my cool. It's been rough anyway, as it is with all the aspects as they are. Everything in retrograde, it's like, oh my God, I can't get moving. I can't move forward. It's like the brakes are on, the emergency brakes on. I can't get any speed. Okay, so if you'd like a personal reading, I am back, by the way, so I will be doing the monthly astrologicals. I'll be doing the eclipse reports and the lunation reports as well for August. I had to get away for a little while, but all is well now. And if you would like a personal reading, please contact me at the email address. It's in the description box below. If you have any questions or you'd like to leave a comment, feel free to do that in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them. I usually am pretty good about that. And I think that's it. Take care. Keep an open mind. Don't lose yourself. Get into your body, mind, and your spirit. Stay alert. Stay sober. Again, I'm not being prude. I'm just saying it now is actually the time to be awake. All right, guys. Take care.